Hi, this video is called Refuse Them the Conflict. I can never decide whether to write now or to do these videos because I just wrote everything for years, but it feels easier to do the video, but then again it's not all about what's easy, so I'll end up doing both now, I think. Anyway, I would put Bean in this video, but she's just still on the corner. Just took her for a walk, which was like walking Homer Simpson. She just wanted to sit down. She's territorial, she's got loads of energy, unlike Homer, but she likes to stay really close to here. Anyway, so it's called Refuse Them the Conflict, this video. Now, I scribbled these notes in McDonald's coffee shop this morning. I don't start with where I've got to the refuse them the conflict bit. I start with what is a reminder to myself about work I was doing some weeks back, about how me or anyone else shouldn't identify with and hide behind someone or something else. I've gone through that already, so this is just like a refresh now, because I just added a tiny little thing to what I was saying. It's just more or less makes it even clearer. So, for example, say you're in this world of binary conflicts, the manipulations and all that. Say someone on the right's identifying someone who they think is, smart or something, and it's meaningless, because someone on the left could just say, well, Einstein was a socialist. But that doesn't mean to say that socialism is correct. It's not arguing back their world. That doesn't mean that at all. It just doesn't mean it or not mean it. It's irrelevant. It just means that it cancels out that silly argument because everyone can play that game. That's what I mean by that. We go around in circles forever. And it's not to identify with Einstein. I must put that. Look, I've never done, don't, and never will do. Others that identify and hide behind someone, like I say, it's pointless. Everyone can play that game. And another thing, smart people discourage people from parroting other people's views. They think that what's smart and healthy and more authentic is to think for yourself. They think it's self-evidently wrong to sell out on your individual independence or your individual agency, however you like to put that. And moreover, we are all just people. It's time to come together and get 100% completely over that childish squabble. Splitting everyone up into differing labels is neurotic, doesn't work. On the contrary to working, it causes a problem requiring an obvious solution, with the obvious solution being to come together. So then I started asking myself questions and answering them over a coffee, over a latte. I thought, is this psychological or social? I said it's about duration of problems, which is psychosocial. It's all about getting rid of conflict problems. I Q&A'd myself with, do you claim it's not people like you causing splits? I said, yeah. The elites or whatever, or people who've got power of some sort, whatever label they stick on themselves, whether it's left, right, centre, left, nonsense, they're all just after the same boat. They're all the same, therefore. Matt Hancock could defect to the Liberal Democrats, Starmer could defect to the Tories. It doesn't make any difference. They're all just after the same bone. Sunak could be bloody New Labour, I think he said he was. So, do you claim it's not people like you causing splits? I put yes, the elites won't just be... They won't just be people, they won't just accept this people. They have to have all these labels so they can play the game. And they don't really care which one they're for, really. the reason for this is that they want to be artificially split off. So they want opposition to themselves. They're not bothered about their label really. I mean, if the labels weren't there but they could still be in the establishment, that's all they care about. The labels they think they need because otherwise they won't have the excuse to be in the establishment, but what they care about is being in the establishment. They don't give a shit about their label really. Not a tiny bit. Even bloody Trump doesn't. Trump could have been a Democrat even. You know what I mean? That's, Democrats would be horrified at hearing that, but it's true. They just care about the establishment, all of them. Now, we have to refuse them the conflict. We have to refuse them the conflict. If we're the ones who are not playing the game, then we're the ones who have to refuse the conflict. We have to, and that's what the title of this video is. And also there's people low down who haven't got power, who are identifying with these because they're under their spell. We have to get them to realise that when they're talking, it's not themselves talking. What they're doing is parroting their identification. They've sold out their individual independence. I then asked myself the question, interesting, now say stuff on individual/collective. And I said, I know I'm not projecting, I'm not feeling superior, and I'm not thinking superior. When I'm I'm not projecting when I refuse the conflict, then there's no projection. When we are one in my mind, then the conflict's nonsense and there's no projection from me. Because usually these projections on the outer world are when there's a split and there's some kind of silly I'm good, you're bad sort of projection. You're projecting bad and you want them. But when you're all just one, projection's not possible. So that's a psychological thing. I put here, being intelligent in this regard is not about being able to structure an essay. That's unimportant. The big picture is to use intelligence to see through your own ego. If you don't do that, then you are needlessly causing conflict. And I say again, we have to refuse them the conflict. I then ask myself, what if someone uses their individual independence to decide that conflict is fantastic? Bit of a contradiction. It's obviously not a... Individual agency means people being themselves, yeah, but it doesn't mean they start thinking total nonsense. My nieces have similar views to me, but they think similar to I do. I think as I do, they think as they do. In other words, there's a healthy context, but of course you can cross a line into illness. I don't think in terms of a red line being about intelligence. You can be uneducated in terms of formal education, of formal qualifications, and yet be quite smart anyway. For me, the red line is crossed when the individual starts thinking things that are within the context of conflict and neurosis. That's where the human being goes wrong, starts projecting. We have to refuse them the conflict. So, let me just be clear on that last bit I was reading there. If someone crosses the line, that's illness, for whatever reason. It's an illness. And it's also can be when they're under the spell of others, but that's kind of an illness as well, because they're not at all themselves, not at all. It's easy to see. So that they're just parroting the other, who they're identifying with. So it's a mix of illness or under a spell. Might be one more than the other, but that's what's happening there. So we have to refuse them the conflict. that's the video. Sorry not being today. So there.